Hi, welcome to this week's edition of the Inside Track with the Scottish Sun. I've got Jim Delahunt here with me as usual. And Jim, you put up Banbridge for the King George in your column a couple of weeks ago. We talked about it last week on the show. You must have enjoyed last night, and that leftover turkey must have tasted a bit sweeter.
It certainly did, Robert. I was really sweet on Banbridge for the King George, and Paul Townend's booking was really the icing on the cake. He was obviously over to ride Lossiemouth, and Joseph O'Brien and owner Ronnie Bartlett took full advantage, getting Paul on board. Take nothing away from the horse that tried to make all. The French trader, Relay Francais, ran an absolutely fantastic race, but coming to the second last, I really did think that Banbridge was going to win, and the jump at the last just sealed it. A fantastic performance. I think Joseph O'Brien, for all he's a well-off young man. He comes from fantastic racing stock, and he's won Grade 1s and Group 1s all over the world. But I still think over jumps he flies a little bit under the radar. And Banbridge, we flagged it up, Robert, at 10-1. It got to as low as 9-2 at one point, and then drifted out to 7-1. So I think even the people who backed it as the nap selection in Scottish SunSport on Boxing Day would have been very happy with the 7-1, and I was very happy with the 10-1 anti-post.
I was just looking this morning. I mean, he's as big as 33s for the Gold Cup. I mean, you're talking about a horse that's won Grade 1s at 2 miles, 2.5, and now 3 miles, which is
Yeah.
very unusual. There's not many horses that are able to do that. It's 33 to win a huge price.
It's a massive price, Robert. I just don't know. I haven't. I did text Ronnie Bartlett after the race, but I haven't had a reply yet, so I don't know what the plans are. But that horse was not stopping over 3 miles off a fast pace at Kempton yesterday. In fact, if the more I look at the race, Stamina won him the race because he outstayed absolutely everything on the day. So an extra 2 furlongs up the hill at Cheltenham. I hope they're thinking about it. That's all I would say at the moment.
Yeah. The other highlight of the card was Constitution Hill's comeback, and everybody was wondering, we're back to the same horse he was. Visually, he was very impressive. He won by 9 lengths. Few people cribbing it, saying that Burdett Road was maybe a bit too close. What was your reading of the race?
Yeah, my reading of the race at the time, like everybody else, I got a little bit carried away. I thought, oh, Constitution Hill's back. That's fantastic. I've watched it again twice this morning, and like you, I'm thinking Burdett Road is only 9 lengths away. And I'm thinking of Burdett Road's handicap mark 133 when he won the Greatwood. And I'm also looking at a horse which everybody said bombed out, and that was the runner up. Everybody says that horse bombed out, ran an absolute stinker, and it's only beaten 2.5 lengths. So Constitution Hill, the chances are we won't see him again before the champion hurdle, certainly the way Nicky Henderson was talking afterwards. So visually, yeah, great to see him back. But the actual form, I think the more the weeks go on and State Man running at Leopardstown on Sunday, I think we'll start questioning that form just a little bit.
Yeah, going odds on for the champion hurdle at this stage does seem a bit of an overreaction, doesn't it?
It certainly does, especially we've yet to see State Man on Sunday, and I think I'll keep my money in my pocket just for the moment.
So we'll have a look at the weekend's racing. We've got Newbury, then over to Ireland with Leopardstown, where you fancy one, which we'll come to later on.
Yeah,
And then Sunday we've got Kelso. We've also got the Savills Chase in Ireland, which we'll take a look at. But we'll start off at Newbury, 12:05 handicap hurdle. Have you got one in that?
I fancy one in this. I'm not going to go overboard about it, Robert, because I know you fancy one as well. But I'm going to go for number 9, Asian Spice. It's trained by Jimmy Frost, and Bryony's daughter, as well known, is working and riding in France at the moment, and she's over to ride this one. She didn't ride it last time when it won at Windsor. Harry Cobden took the mount that day, but Bryony's available this time. Asian Spice up in class, but carrying quite a low weight. Appeals to me as a horse that might be able to win over this 2 miles at Newbury on Saturday. As I say, I'm not going overboard, but I saw Bryony rode it the time before when it won. She sits very quiet on this horse, gave it a lovely ride at Exeter. Harry Cobden gave it a lovely ride to win at Windsor. Bryony's back on this time, but I know you fancy Spring Note at the top weight.
Well, I mean, the quickest road to the poorhouse is sticking by horses that didn't do your turn the last time. But I put it up here at the Hennessy meeting, and it was over 2.5 miles. Ran up with the pace, faded 3 out, ended up pulled up, but just stepped down and track back to Class 3 company as well. She's 2-2 in Class 3 company. She's 3 wins and pulled up at the track. 1-2-1-1 form over 2 miles. So I think she's worth another chance. She's been dropped £2 for the last run. Freddie Gordon rides this time, takes 5 off. So I like to think stepping down in grade, she might be competitive.
Yeah, should be an interesting Mares handicap hurdle to open the card, Robert. obviously we're having two stabs at that. We'll see how Asian Spice and Spring Note get on, but I'm certainly leaving the 112 to you because I think you fancy the Good Doctor.
Yeah, I watched its race at Warwick, which is Sky Cutter won it that day. It reopposes
Yeah.
tomorrow. And I thought Ben Jones gave Sky Cutter far too much rope. I don't think he'll fall into that trap this time. There's a swing at the weights as well. He's now getting £6 from it. It's also got a nice bit of form with horse Thank You Ma'am, which dotted up at Ascot last week. That they raced against each other at Fontwell. So I think with that form line, I'd like to see it run a bit more prominently. Again, like a broken record here. I think if Ben Jones makes a wee bit more of it, and I like horses ridden from the front at Newbury, that long straight, you can get them wound up. I think the Good Doctor would have a right good each way chance.
Yeah, and Ben Polly and Ben Jones, an absolutely sensational form at Kempton on Boxing Day with the Jukebox Man. It was great to see Harry getting his Grade 1 winner there. The 145 is a race that interests me. It's a 2.5 mile handicap hurdle. And the one I'm going to put up here, maybe a bit left field, but it's coming down from the north. Jed O'Keefe, I know he's got a runner at Kempton at the weekend, but he's coming down to Newbury with a horse called Mr. Bramley. Conor O'Farrell is going to ride it. It runs off 11 stone 7 here. Technically, in terms of handicap ratings, he's up £3 for his win at Wetherby last time when he beat an Ollie Murphy trained hot pot. Now, when you see this horse, he's not the prettiest horse to look at, but he's certainly got an engine. He certainly goes forward. He can certainly change gears. And Mr. Bramley might just be underrated here, I reckon. I haven't seen the anti-post price. Sorry, not the anti-post prices, the early prices so far, Robert. But just up £3 for his last win at Wetherby. I think it's got a real good chance going that round that 2.5 at Newbury. And Mr. Bramley's the one I'm going to put up for the 145.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be a Saturday without you focusing on a Skelton horse. And in the 220, I believe Holy Joe Smoke is one that you like in that.
Yeah, Holy Smoke is a horse which landed the nap for us last time, in actual fact. That was at Sandown. Went off at 94 that day. I think he'll be much better suited by Newbury. I noticed the Skeltons had him in 2 races on Saturday's card. The Mandarin, which used to be a big race, but they're trying to get it back. It's now a £75,000 handicap again over 3.25 miles. He was also in the 2.75 mile novices handicap at 335, which he is actually going to run. The form is mighty, and that's the Skelton horse there. But the horse he runs here, Holy Smoke, I think this is a 6-year-old on the upgrade. He's only had a couple of chases. He's always looked like a chaser, even over hurdles. I think he's a big improver. And I think he'll be well suited by this track at Newbury. You've mentioned the long straight already. The fences in the home straight give horses a real chance to wind up. Holy Smoke is just that kind of horse in my book. I think the Skeltons are in tremendous form, no matter what happens in the Welsh National on Friday. I think Holy Smoke has got a real chance, but I know you fancy Inch House here.
Well, I mean, I don't know whether it's the time of year or what, but I'm in quite a forgiving mood at the moment. Inch House, I just think he's starting to look a bit well handicapped. I think he's only £2 above his last winning mark. He changed stables from John O'Neill to Paul Nicholls in the autumn. Had his first run for Nicholls pulled up, but given the form of the Nicholls yard first time out at that time, I'm not too worried about that. I mean, it won the Peter Sullivan here last year, and then the form kind of tailed off a bit. They've got Cobden up for the first time. Again, I'd like to see them make a bit more of him than they made the last time at the Hennessy meeting, or the Ladbrokes Trophy meeting, or the Coral Cup, whatever it's called now. We're losing track. But I'd like to see a bit more of it. But I think off 132, he's starting to look like he might be in the zone for winning a race again.
Yeah, again, we're having 2 stabs at this, Robert. I'd just like to mention one in this race, which might not win on Saturday, but certainly one to keep on the right side. It's a horse called Surrey Quest, which won this race last year. He's a lot higher in the handicap this time, but this was the unsung hero at Ayr on Scottish Grand National Day because all the headlines were made by, quite rightly, Willie Mullins, who clinched the trainer's title that day with his win in the Scottish Grand National. He threw quite a lot of darts at the board and he came up with the winner with McDermott. But Surrey Quest, I think, only went down a short head ahead in that race. And I know that I spoke to some of the connections after that race, and they were so gutted that they'd been so narrowly beaten that day. And I think there is a big race in this horse. So it's one to watch on Saturday. Might just be too high in the handicap, taking on the likes of Inch House and Holy Smoke. But Surrey Quest, keep that one on side.
We'll nip over to Ireland as well, where the Savills Chase is the main event there on Saturday, where you've got Factor File against Galloping Deschamps. Just looked at the prices this morning, basically 11 to 8 the pair.
Yeah.
How do you see that one panning out? Obviously, Fact to File came out on top in the John Durkin. This time it's over a more suitable tip for Galopin Des Champs. Does that spin things back in his favour, or how do you see it?
I think it does. I don't think it's a big betting race for me, but it's a horse that if I had to have an opinion on, Gallopin Des Champs is the horse I would take to win this one, Robert. Ruby Walsh was talking about this horse the other day. He thinks he'll be much better suited by Leopardstown. So do I. He's a class act. And interestingly now, they don't just think about the Gold Cup, although that's clearly the target again, but they want to win big races along the way. And none bigger in Ireland at this time of year than the Savills Chase. And I just think Gallopin Des Champs will have too much for Fact to File on this occasion. But as you say, they're both very short. And on that day, on that card in particular, I'm looking to do a short price double because I'm going to put Gallopin Des Champs in to win the Savills. And also in the Grade 1 hurdle, half an hour before that, I'm going to go with Home by the Lee, which is another Joseph O'Brien horse, but this is one that's very well proven at this level, unlike Banbridge at 3 miles at Kempton. JJ Slevin, he's back from injury. He's starting to pick up a few decent rides. This could be the one that puts him back on the map. Home by the Lee for Joseph O'Brien in the Savills, the Grade 1. There's some very good opposition there, including Bob Ollinger, Henry de Bromhead in outstanding form. We'll come to him in just a moment. But I'm going to do a short price double, Home by the Lee and Gallopin Des Champs in the 2 Grade 1s on Saturday.
Last week you flagged up Lady Rose Hackett as a potential runner this week. She's been declared. Could you just tell the viewers what your case for her is?
Yeah, she's trained by that man, Henry de Bromhead. He had 4 winners at 3 different tracks in Ireland on Boxing Day. The horses are just absolutely flying. This is a filly which is going to be ridden by Rachel Blackmore, provided she's okay after that fall at Kempton the other day, Robert. But she's run 2 nice races in maiden hurdles at Clonmel. Irish maiden hurdle form is almost unfathomable at some points of the season, but I've spotted this horse running well. She's been targeted at this race, and it's a race that Henry does target. He won it last year with Music of Tara, another filly, incidentally, in against Colts and Geldings. Lady Rose Hackett's been handicapped first time at 105. I think they were expecting 110, and I think they've got in nicely here with 105. She had a hood on the last time. She wears a hood again today. They've added a tongue tie this time. I think she'll be ridden to get the 2.5, and I think she's probably handicapped to win. This isn't the greatest race in the world this weekend. It's not the greatest race run over the 4 days at Leopardstown, but Henry de Bromhead might just have one to win it. Lady Rose Hackett for me.
And then we've got some Scottish action on Sunday at Kelso with their annual 29th of December card. We were both hoping Derry Hassan Paddy would be declared in the first, and we're sitting furiously hitting the refresh button to see if Lucinda Russell was going to put him in. She's not, so we're not going to focus on that race. Ace of Spades for the Skeltons just looks rock solid in that now, doesn't he?
It does.
And then, so another one that we both quite liked at the 12:53 is Nab Wood for Nicky Richards. Now, he's coming off a long break, but as we saw last weekend with Nicky putting 2 in at Haydock of 500 days and 600 odd days, that's no problem, is it?
It's no problem to Nicky Richards, and Sean Quinlan rides this horse beautifully. Nab Wood, he's going for a Kelso hat trick, Robert, as you well know. He won twice at the track. The last time was February, so yeah, he's coming off a long break, but Nicky spoke about this horse to me in an interview one day, and he really rates it. I still think the horse is quite a bit in hand now. He is up another £8 for that very cosy win last time in February. He's only a 7-year-old, about to turn 8 in a few days' time. I thought they'd go straight over fences, but clearly they think there's still a little bit of juice in the handicap mark. And this race isn't the greatest for a Class 3, even for the £15,000 that Kelso are very well doing and putting up. 2 3/4 miles at Kelso. Quinlan rides it beautifully. I think Nab Wood will complete the Kelso hat trick at 12:53 on Saturday. And if I can just mention another Nicky Richards horse on the card, it's the Amateur Jockeys Handicap Chase over 3 1/4 miles. It's a horse called Senior Lombardi. Now, this horse was declared at Market Raisin on Boxing Day. He was taken out. I think they must have got wind that this race was going to cut up a little bit. He's got Kelso form. He's an 11-year-old now. He's won a novice hurdle here at Kelso. He's also finished second in a Hunter Chase more recently at Kelso. Clearly, having been campaigned in point-to-points and Hunter Chases, he goes well for an amateur. Paddy Barlow takes £5 off his current rating of 112 on Saturday, and I think Nicky's probably found a good race for this old horse to win. So that's Senior Lombardi in the 3:13 at Kelso on Saturday.
Thanks, Jim. Now, maybe just take a quick look forward to next week. New Year's Day is always a good day's racing. We've got Cheltenham on and we've got Musselburgh on up here. Now, we're only going on entries at the moment, so we don't know exactly what's going to run and whatever, but you've got the real Keel hurdler with Golden Ace coming back, winner at the festival last year. Be looking forward to seeing her.
Very much so, and I think Jeremy Scott's horses, as we've seen with a few horses that we've mentioned on this programme, Robert, are starting to come good. This looks like a race that Jeremy's targeted for this mare. She goes well at the track. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Lorcan Williams is in the saddle. He blotted his copybook the other day, but I'm sure he won't make silly mistakes like that again with the old counting the whip strokes. Golden Ace for me is probably the one to back in this race. Again, we're only looking at entries. We don't have declarations until Monday. But if this runs, and I think it will, and I think Golden Ace is the one to be on. The other one I would mention on the Cheltenham card, I know you're going to mention Musselburgh. The other one I would mention at Cheltenham, if it's declared, would be Jamie Snowden's Colonel Harry. Now, it wouldn't be Cheltenham if we didn't have a 100 grand, 2.5 mile handicap chase. And Colonel Harry drops down from 3 1/4 at Newbury last time when he was, we have to admit, disappointing. I fancied him strongly that day. Back down to 2.5. Still reasonably well handicapped. He'll get £10 off the top weight hitman if he runs. I think Colonel Harry, if he's declared, we hope he's declared, will be one to have a little each way bet on at 2:05 Cheltenham on New Year's Day.
Wise Eagle is a horse that we know for the flat. Adam Nicholl trains just over the border in Northumberland, and he's in again at Kelso, at the Musselburgh. Sorry, he won very well there. He won. Was it Catterick? He won the last time. Visually,
Yeah.
been so impressive the last two runs over hurdles. He runs again here. I mean, he's a horse that I'm thinking could be one of the nicest novices in the North, if not the nicest, given his flat background and the way he's taking the hurdles. I mean, it looks like he's going to go another quite enough run up here, but I think there might be a big pot in this horse one day. Do you agree?
Yeah. I think you even sent me a text saying maybe the Betfair hurdle at some point, and Wise Eagle handicap at Musselburgh, 2.5 miles, nice easy track. I don't think he'll have any problem with that. He was a stayer on the flat. Visually, you're right, Robert, been hugely impressive on his last two starts, and in this handicap on Sunday, I'm glad you've highlighted it, because if he's going to win a handicap at this stage of the year, then this is the one he's going to win. Nice, easy track round Musselburgh, 2.5 miles, and in against some quite well-exposed rivals. So I'm with you on this one. I hope Wise Eagle's a reasonable price that we can have a bet. I suspect he'll be favourite, but not all favourites are very short, so fingers crossed we get a decent price as I push my cat away out of the picture, Robert. So thank goodness we've only got one race to go.
Well, it's just the Breeze River for Paul Robson, I thought was worth flagging up, stepping up to 2.5 miles. Won a nice race at Kelso at the start of the season, and went down, piled him pretty high against Lou de Sud at the November meeting at Cheltenham in the Arkle trial. I spoke to Paul after the race, actually. He was delighted with him, thought he needs a step up in trip now. So I noticed he's sending him over 2.5 miles now. Another one that I think there might be a nice handicap on him at some point this season, whether it's this or next week as it is now, or whether it's maybe into the spring. I think he's a horse probably to keep on side. So it'll be very interesting to see how he runs and how he copes with the step up in trip.
Certainly will be. I'm looking forward to that race. I noticed that Lucinda Russell is Corrigan Rock in the race as well, a horse that they say always has to go right-handed. They tend to run it down south, but they have run this at Musselburgh. Didn't run too badly on seasonal debut, so that'll be an interesting rival for Breeze River. But like you, I'm really looking forward to seeing that horse. I'm really looking forward to Paul Robson getting some winners on the board. He's got a really good setup there, as you well know, down at the yard formerly run by Rose Dobbin, and it'll be great to see him get a winner at Musselburgh on New Year's Day on what we hope, Robert, is going to be a good card. Fingers crossed.
Thanks very much, Jim, and good luck with the bets on Saturday, and have a good new year when it comes.
You too, Robert. Nice to see you.
Cheers, good luck, folks.